Provider. What is a provider in Flutter? So providers are actually the types of widgets which you use if you want to, let's say, provide a certain value or data to, like, any, you can say, data model object to anywhere in the widget tree. So that's the main use of provider. So a provider is simply a widget which can be used to provide data to other, points in the widget tree, or any other widget in the widget tree. So the first point here states they are used in state management, of course, if you want to kind of propagate the state between the widgets, and based on publisher subscriber method. Yeah, so in a provider you usually have one publishing class that is actually providing the data, and then there are multiple consumers who consume this data. And in the publisher class, where we change the data, or for which provides the data, we use this function notify change listener. So this notify change listener actually updates when we use this in this provider class. It updates all the, or in the publisher class, it updates all the consumers, about any change on this data. So if we have a function in our publisher class that is kind of responsible for changing the data, let's say we have a class which is kind of incrementing a counter, so we will simply call this notify change listener in this class, and that will then update all the consumers that are listening to this publisher. So this is a simple definition of provider. So let's see here. So we have a provider class and a consumer class. You see, it can be more than one consumers. So we, in the provider class, we have a function provider. You can have any name here, and then you do something in this function, and then you call this notify change listener inside this provider class. And then this notify change listener is actually informing all the consumers. You can have one consumer here, you can have one consumer here, so you can have multiple consumers, and and how do you access this data in the consumer? Of course, you use this provider.auth. You provide this class name here, which is a provider class, and you also provide the context of this consumer. And then you listen is false because we are not listening to any values here in this class. So if we want to listen to some values, we can set this listen to true, and then dot provider function, we call this function here, and then whatever is done, this will be done, and this notify change listener will update the latest state to all the consumers. So this is a simple block diagram explanation of the provider in Flutter. And let's go now to this diagram. Let's say we have a widget tree. We have this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, all these widgets. And let's say we are at this widget, and if this widget, we can give it a color of green. So if this widget is the provider, so it means that all of these widgets, they are will be able to listen to this provider, Okay, so yeah, so all these he will be listening. This provider is providing, is a provider for all these consumers. So let's say if we want a provider which is going to let's say let's say 6 and 7 are going to listen to it. So where can we define it? Let's say we pick another provider here. We call it let's say with the name X. And let's say we put this here or let's say we put this provider not at this place but at this place. So this is and then only 6 and 7 want to listen to it. So this is not a very efficient, you know, implementation. If we bring it like at this location somewhere, so from here both 6 and 7 can listen to it. Of course we cannot bring it here because then only 6 can listen to it and not 7. So this is the most optimum place to, you know, kind of place the provider in this widget tree. Of course placing it anywhere else could work also, like placing it up there also could work, even up there could also work, but this is the place where I think its location is the best when it comes to efficiency. And yeah, so this is the provider, and 6 and 7, let's color them differently. They are the listeners to this provider X. Yeah, so that's a bit of explanation of provider widget tree.